Hello, and welcome back to the Faye Banner Review, where we talk about how modern-day weapons have more writing than the actual Faye stories. And this isn't just any banner review, this is in fact the first Book 9 review, which is quite something. Not sure what that something means though. Today, we have a brand new Blazing Blade banner featuring, you guessed it, Blazing Blade units. And a unit not from Blazing Blade. But that's tradition for ya. And as per tradition, I will be using this coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day to rank the brand new Blazing Blade banner. But with a brand new book comes a clean slate, so excuse me as I put a banner at the 1 spots and the 10 spots. Much better. Today's ranking will be based on how bad the demote fodder is, which includes our Grand Hero battle unit. And if you don't want to be fodder to your barely used merge project, then consider subscribing to the channel so that you could have the 5-star YouTube experience. That or the guise of a 5-star like Luke from an arena ticket.
Got a Luke!
First up, we have Leila, and she's a rearmed dagger unit, which means you have another chance at coping with your favorite dagger units again. And while that happens, Leila can sit there knowing that the best dagger unit in the game is still probably going to Shez. Let's see. Arcane Slime Knife has slaying, stats, true stats, lull speed defense, 7 points of flat damage reduction, and a special jump of -1 before the unit's first attack. What an interesting and unique approach to an arcane weapon. I was thinking arcanes have been getting stale lately, what with the last 3 arcanes basically being copy-pasted, so imagine my surprise when Arcane Slime Knife is also a copy-pasted arcane. I know arcanes make units unoriginal, but this is the first time where arcanes make themselves unoriginal. I guess it's fine because it's still a solid amount of effects, but the creativity is not really being highlighted as much these days. At least there's the PRFB slot, maybe. Let's see. Dark Perfume grants cooldown at the start of each turn, inflicts undefended on the closest foe, as well as flash on said foe and foes that are nearby. Stats, true damage, null guard, and the entirety of Disarm Trap 4 baked into 1 skill. You know, I think I liked it when IS was uncreative, actually. That is a lot of stuff for a B slot, and I get the reason why it's a lot. It's because of power creep. They do need to overcompensate for what's essentially a generic 5-star unit, which makes sense at least, but wow, that is something else. She also has this brand new C slot in Lookout Force that's essentially Shadow Shift for daggers, which is really good. Until you realize it's locked to daggers. We've been getting a lot of weapon lock skills recently, which is probably the best approach they can have to making some unit types worth running, so I can respect the choice here. It's too bad no one's going to use Lookout Force now because of its restrictions though. But yeah, that sure is Leila. Yep, that is an arcane. Yep, that is an arcane unit that has Leila in it. Yep, and sure does. Yep, sure. Yep. She seems pretty good for the most part, at least by virtue of Dark Perfume alone, and I bet she'll be annoying to deal with under the right circumstances. Also, it's kind of funny that our rearmed is basically a new take on our original version, what with the sweep effect and post-combat swapping. But you know what isn't funny? Leila flashing you. Leila flashing you. Next, there's Uther, and he's based on his brother Brave Hector, except that's being somewhat dishonest if I'm being honest. Not because Hector is dressed up as his brother, but because Uther sucks massive shit. Let's see. Uther has Pursual Axe Plus, which is an inheritable axe that most units are not going to be using on any of their axe units. Most likely, probably maybe because arcanes exist, as well as Ignis, Special Fighter, and Defense Tactic. As you truly spoil us with Ignis, I guess. I was running low on Henry's, thank you. Man, they sure made him a Luther, am I right? Or am I right? Like the word loser, but it sounds like his actual name. Maybe I'm the Uther after all. Unrelated, but they did the thing again in the trailer where instead of presenting new heroes, they presented a new hero because everyone else is an alt, which is super funny, and also I don't know how to feel. But yeah, that sure is Uther the unit. Literally nothing to say about him. Could have been nice if they tossed out better prerequisite fodder because these skills are not that great. But hey, playable Uther is pretty hype, so I mean I could only complain so much, right? No, that's a lie, actually. I could always find something to complain about. Bro, Defense Tactic 3? Are you serious? And then there's Hector, and he's an attuned unit based on his buddy old pal, Legendary Eliwood. Specifically that one. He's a sword armor this time around that's wielding a version of Durandal. Specifically that version. Let's see. Fellowship Blade has slaying, stats but visible, stats but on the foe, 2 layers of true stats, guard, and gives out bulwark and null panic to allies that are nearby. This is also on top of his A slot, Oath of Ostia, that grants HP specifically, stone terrain, debuffs, damage reduction shredding, and special jumps. This unit sure does a lot of stuff, as said on every modern release in Fae. Okay, but this time it's different, I swear. I don't swear, actually, it's always a lot. It's never not a lot. Still, he's a really strong tank that also gives out a lot of support, and really strong support at that. Bulwark, stone terrain, null panic, the list goes on. And defense risk +6 at the start of the turn, the list no longer goes on. Hector also comes with a Wily Fighter 4, which insert the description of Slick Fighter 4 here, and neutralizes the foe's bonuses during combat. And I know this might contradict what I said earlier about creativity, but I genuinely think every tier 4 armor B slot should just be copy-pasted around like Slick Fighter, because they're actually worth considering on units over Shield Fighter, which is really huge considering that skill is still the ceiling for tanks. No longer will it be the days of one armor skill ruling basically every single armor in the game. Except save skills, but we've resigned ourselves to that fate forever ago. I forgot to mention he has Distant Counter as his Echo skill, which is Distant Counter as an Echo skill. Very fitting that the unit known for being able to counterattack regardless of the foe's range will have an attuned skill that does exactly that. And this one can be used on beast units too, so unlike the Sacred Seal, this means they actually might have a redemption arc. Who am I kidding? Most of the beasts still suck anyway. But yeah, that sure is Hector, and yep, that is an attuned skill, alright, yep, sure is. He's going to be a really good unit, most likely, at least by virtue of modern armor, who provides good support. And, you know, in the worst case scenario where he just isn't a good enough tank, I won't have to fight him because he seems super annoying to deal with. So basically, that is my best case scenario. And lastly, there's the new OC of the book in Rune, who is our first ever free-to-play male original character. According to Fae, because I couldn't tell until they made it explicitly clear. They are a light mythic that brought a brand new gimmick to Aether Raids, but I won't talk about that for now because I want to read his kit first, so I'm not really sure why I even mentioned that right now and why I haven't ended this current sentence. Let's see. Rune comes with Uther of Creation, which is a slaying tome that grants stats, true stats, penalty and guard nullification, and orders plus empathy to himself and allies at the start of the turn. And empathy is a brand new status that grants additional stats based on the current lineup of bonuses and penalties active on a single unit. Kinda like Brave Crom. On top of a PRF B slot in Font of Wisdom, which inflicts map-wide stat penalties, doubles those penalties during combat, has true damage, damage reduction shredding, and true damage reduction. Kinda like Brave Crom. Yeah, that sure is a free mythic, alright, I guess. He's definitely not bad by any means. Definitely a lot better than Ratatoskr. Stats are good. I like stats. Who doesn't like stats? Rune will probably be useful enough, so, you know, that's nice. That's pretty nice. They also have fodder if you deem them unworthy, and, pretty good fodder, actually. Flare, Sly Mirror, and a brand new skill in Pulse Ploy, and you will never guess what that skill does. That's right, it gives Pulse Up and Ploy. I do kind of like it though. But yeah, I have about as much to say about Rune as Uther, which is really impressive or really sad. You tell me in the comments below. However, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room though. We're voting Baldur into first place next Choose Your Legends, right? Okay, but that aside for now, Rune is a new mythic type that enables the brand new Calling Circle mechanic, which allows Rune and future mythics to summon Brave Felixes whenever they so please. And other units, but let's be real, it's only going to be him. It's basically reinforcements implemented into player control, which is pretty cool, actually. I'm not sure what the implications of it are going to be in practice, but this update led to probably the worst upgrade of all time. Safety Fence 2. They upgraded it just so it worked with the new structure, but I think I'm more afraid of that than the Calling Circle itself, to be honest. 2BH. to be quite H. Maybe I'll change my mind once we get the new Dark or Anno Mythic, but who can say? Who can say? They also spawn in after turn 2, and it could be placed anywhere on a defense map, which is really funny when doing it with units like Black Knight, and really frustrating as all hell when it's for a unit that is not easy to kill. However, if you're really smart about it, you can prevent the reinforcement from spawning. How do you do that though? I don't know why you're asking me, I never claimed to be smart. But yeah, that's really it when it comes to the new Mythic stuff at least, and only time will tell if this ends up becoming a problem or not. As for Rune themselves, well, at least he's not Uther. We also got news on the freebies too in Oswin and Vida. Vida has decent prerequisite fodder in Wyvern Flight and Attack Defense Rain alongside a solid PRF in Spear. That's the entire name, by the way, just so I'd make that clear. Also, that was not intended to be a rhyme. I want to make that clear. It has distant counter with dull and IO status support and a bunch of stat stuff like true damage reduction. It's pretty solid for the most part, and she's free, so that's always a boon in my book. Meanwhile, Oswin comes with an inheritable lance that grants a bunch of stats and after combat healing, as well as Pavis, Sturdy Stance 2, and Odd Follow-Up. I think I owe Uther an apology. This kit is so much worse. It's pretty bad for the most part, and he is free, so that's always a bane in my book. Okay, to be fair, it could always be worse. And if it was worse, I'd be much more harsh, but I trust IS will not let me down on that front, considering they're the company that gave out Seal Attack 3 in 2024. But yeah, nice stuff to see all around, even if Oswin is on the generic side. There is no saving that stat line, though. They actually wanted this man dead from the jump.
Luke! Gotta Luke!
And now that we've gone over the brand new Blazing Blade units, I think it's time we rank the banner on the line graph. That may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new Blazing Blade banner has earned a 7 out of 10. On the line graph. Not a bad score by any means, and considering this is the beginning of a new book, this is very much a satisfactory score. So congratulations to the Blazing Blade banner for a solid start to book 9. Although that's probably bad for us considering the scoring criteria. And you may be wondering to yourself, is this banner worth a fraction of the orbs I get on a monthly basis? And audience member that thought that, I have an answer for you. It might actually be worth it. Leila and Rune sharing is a really solid value, and Hector himself is utterly insane, on top of also having really great fodder to boot. The only thing that will probably be worth waiting and seeing first is the upcoming winter banner, and you don't have to summon on this banner immediately anyway. That being said, if it's anything like the last one, then... Actually, no, the last one was really good. But if it were like the one before that and the one before the one I said before too, then it will probably suck really bad. And trust me, do I know a thing or two about sucking. Because I made a video on it a while back, you should watch it. Or the Brave Felix video I had forever ago. Both are valid options.
Luke!